Welcome back to the Garden with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy to have you along. Miss any of those sponsors or those coupon codes? Find them all out at our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, under the Money tab at the top of the page. Holly, let's go to the hotline and bring in our guest for this week.
John Libs is the CEO and co-founder of Phyllom Bioproducts and has a background in biological science. Welcome to the program, John.
Hey, thanks, Holly. Thanks, Joey. How you doing?
We're doing well. Just for complete transparency, Phyllom Bioproducts, as you heard at the end of the last break, is a sponsor of the program, so I want to make everybody clear of that. And I'll start with this, John. A lot of people have asked us what to do with grubs in their yard. What is the best way to get rid of them, and where do they come from initially, where the problem starts?
Yeah, where do those little buggers show up from, huh? It's, well, historically, a lot of beetles, beetle grubs in particular, have been spread around in nursery stock. That's really how Japanese beetle was spread, early on in the Northeast, and then also, out to the Denver area for sure, approximately 10 years ago was basically in nursery stock. So APHIS does a quarantine program, but some of those grubs get moved around in potted plants still. And then, of course, the beetles will fly, midsummer. They'll start flying into the fall, and they'll go lay eggs wherever, different species like water more or less. And the ones that people really focus on because they're such voracious, plant eaters are Japanese beetles, and they love water. So they'll fly to where there's water, where the water's good, and they'll lay eggs there, and new grubs will hatch out.
Just kind of like the jumping worm, too. It gets spread through the soil of the nurseries, and though the nurseries are beneficial, independent, and commercial, they can have a bad impact on our gardens.
No doubt about it. Then for the most part, in lawns, folks are using granular products. They all are spread like fertilizer, and you irrigate them into the root zone where the grubs feed, particularly when the temperatures warm up a bit, about mid-50s Fahrenheit. They start working their way to the surface, feed on the roots, and so that's where you want to deliver the active ingredient from the products. And then, of course, some people spray. That's more of a professional channel side of business where they spray grub controls. Our products, the granular is Grub Gone, that you spread and irrigate in like all the other granular products. Then we have Beetle Gone, which is a wettable dispersible powder, a WP or WTP. You mix it in water. You can spray it on soil for grub control. You can spray it on the lawn for grub control. Or a lot of folks in their gardens, whether they're flowers or vegetable gardens, will till it into the soil, just mix it in, and it's a safe way to use it. And that's a very good grub control as well.
And let's talk about the Phyllom Bioproducts. Your product is different than others because it is designed specifically to target those them beetles and doesn't affect beneficial insects, unlike other chemicals, which it kills everything.
Yeah, that's right. It's a BT-based product. So traditionally, these microbial products, they'll have effectiveness against certain families of insects, not all insects. They're pretty wide spectrum, and ours happens to kill different families of beetles very well, including scarab beetles, and no toxicity to butterflies, no toxicity to bees, ladybugs even. Even though ladybugs are a beetle, there's no toxicity to that family of beetles. So we got a little bit lucky there, but yeah, it's really focused on the bad guys in your garden. And
that's not by accident. That's something that you have worked on in order to create a formulation in order to target only those beetle and grub invaders.
Yeah, it was really the front end discovery. So we saw there was a big hole in the market where there was, and BT products have been used very successfully in ag for a long time, and in forestry and mosquito control for a long time, different strains of bacteria. So we saw there wasn't really a good beetle control. We knew there was, it's the largest group of insects in the world are beetles, but there really wasn't good microbial control of beetles. And so we set out to discover an active bacteria that makes a protein, and it's the protein that's actually the active ingredient. That's why it's a very, very safe insecticide, and that protein is very targeted. But we set out to discover that, and so we were pretty good at it and got a little bit lucky as well.
Fantastic. So typically conventional conventional methods, chemicals used on pests are harmful. Can you talk about their impact, not necessarily even just in your own backyard, but the further ecosystem around you?
Yeah, sure. So basically, most chemicals are what we would call wider spectrum insecticides. Different chemical classes are either broader or more narrower in what they kill. The good ones tend to be pretty broad. So not only do they maybe kill a target, scarab, grub, or beetle, but they'll also kill a butterfly or the bees and that sort of thing. And a lot of the toxicity comes from chemicals that are really basic in their toxicity, meaning a lot of the chemicals used very extensively in the past, and even quite a few of them now are neurotoxins, meaning they can bind and tie up and create toxicity in neurons. And it's not just in insects, unfortunately, mammals, whether pets or people, et cetera, et cetera. Some of the chemicals, they're getting a little safer. The chemical that's kind of the darling of the industry now, which replaced imidacloprid, it's in like Scott's Grub X and Syngenta's Grub Control FMC as a cheaper version of that. It is it's safer for non-targets, but it still binds certain receptors that are found in mussels called rhyodine receptors, and that's how it inhibits molting, I should say, in insects like grubs and beetles, or in particular grubs. So it stops the progression of the life cycle of the insects. And the key here is, unfortunately, mammals have rhyodine receptors as well. So theoretically, it can bind those receptors in people and pets, in mussels as well. And there's actually some cases where this has happened and people were hospitalized. It was very high, relatively high doses. And really the problem is it's really about contact and dose and longevity in the environment. And the new chemical darling in these products has a very long half-life, even much longer than the imidacloprid, which has been kind of moved out of the market because of safety concerns against bees and that sort of thing. But the new chemical, the darling, its half-life, they find it in soil and water, 6, 8, 10 years later. So it's you get a little bit buildup of the chemical, depending on what comes, if you have a small pet or a child obviously playing in the lawns, you kind of have to think about, all right, is the chemical building up over time? What's the exposure? That sort of thing. So that's really the downside. And the upside of the chemicals is most of them work pretty well. Really what we've really pitched, and it's a long haul here, because, people kind of take sides, whether whatever you're talking about, but in this industry as well, it's what you see out in the market, whether it's pro or residential side, retail side, is people are either pro-chemical or anti-chemical. And what we really pitch is an IPM approach called integrated pest management. And it's a type of approach that was really used extensively in agriculture starting in the 50s, where you take a good chemical, you use it at a very low rate. And then if you have a good non-chemical to dose in and mix in with the chemical at a low rate, you use the two combined. And what you find often is you have better control, better killing ability. You reduce, obviously, the chemical load on the environment. And just as importantly, you sort of stave off resistance, the possibility of resistance. So when you're using two products that work in completely different manners against the insect, different pathways to kill the insect, kind of a 1-2 punch, what you'll find is the chances of resistance against either one of the products drops quite a bit. And what you're seeing right now is a lot of resistance against a lot of products. And I unfortunately think you're even seeing that against the newer chemical classes, because we're seeing huge population of grubs all over the country right now. And I really think it's because this newer chemical that replaced imidacloprid probably doesn't kill quite as well. And so there's a lot of resistance building against it, and you're seeing these populations rise. This is kind of a theory or premise of mine, and we're trying to design some field trials and experiments experiments to show that's exactly what's happening.
Well, and I find it interesting, these chemical companies, they make an organic chemical, but yet they still sell the chemicals if the that type of thing. And then with your products, we know these companies that come out and spray lawns and then put the sign out and say, toxic, don't step on the lawn for 48 hours. You don't have to worry about that when you apply the Phyllom bioproduct family of products.
No, not at all. And in fact, in agriculture, where they're very cautious on what you're describing as reentry interval, the REI, ours is minimum risk. The minimum you can have as far as a time point when you're allowed back in the field, and it's 4 hours. So folks can spray, let's say, our Beetle Gone Ag on grapes or blueberries, and they can actually go back in and pick, and not only pick, but they can pick and pack and send them off to market. So it's got exemption from tolerance because it's so safe. And chemicals, like you said, it's at least a couple days. And I mean, in ag, some of the chemicals you're not allowed to re-enter for a month on a crop. So they're very safe products. And like I said, we're trying to pitch, people starting to change their thinking a little bit. If you got a really deep grub infestation and you don't have the confidence that a biological or non-chemical is going to work, we would impress upon folks to say, okay, well, use your chemical that you usually do. And I would recommend Merit, to be honest with you, Bear Advanced, the imidacloprid product, because that's the best one out there. Use the Merit, but use it at half low label rate. Like if the low rate is 3 pounds per thousand, use it at 1.5 pounds per thousand square foot of lawn, and then mix our product in at low label rate, 1.5 pounds per thousand or half low label rate, and you're going to get 100% control. You're going to get better control of grubs than you will with any of the products as standalones, meaning using them by themselves.
That's very interesting. So many people are concerned about the efficacy of non-chemical solutions. Should they be? It sounds like they shouldn't be. There's kind of historically there's been a lot of snake oils out there, right? And it's been kind of a hindrance to the non-chemical industry because a lot of the products, they may work 20% level where you actually get control of 1 out of, or let's say 2 out of 10 grubs. Maybe a lot of them are at 40%. Ours competes head to head with the chemicals. It's 8 to 9 grubs that you can take out of 10 with our product. But historically the efficacy's been pretty suspect on a lot of products, and that's why when people just go shopping and they just don't want to think about it, they typically buy the chemical. What's interesting too, and why I'm sort of talking about the new darling in the industry, this one, it's a little more interesting, and you have to go deeper on what's happening. It's a less soluble chemical, and so when folks are putting it out, again, that's the Syngenta and Scott's product, FMC. When they put it out late in the season, it takes a while for it to get down point of contact in the soil profile where the grubs are feeding. So if you put it out too late, it may not get down there in time to kill the grubs. And then when the grubs grow and get larger before they pupate, what we find in the lab is this chemical really does not work well against late stage grubs. So I think that's in Merit, the old, Bear product, that would kill all the grubs and does very well. But this newer chemical, and it's been on the market pretty much en masse for the last 8 to 10 years, I'd say, I just don't think it has quite the level of efficacy. And I think what you're starting to see is just a lot of grub populations that are surviving the applications of this chemical. So what we would challenge folks using the chemicals is do the IPM, dose in different products, mix them, try to make it work, and at the same time ramp down the amount of chemical you're using and start using, biologicals. If you don't want to go straight biological, this is the way to go. Try IPM.
Well, I'm not very good at math, John, but if I'm going to invest the time and the money, I'm going to go with a product like yours. It's going to get 8 out of 10 grubs instead of 2 out of 10. If I'm going to do all the passes and the work, I'm going to try to get the biggest impact for the dollar value in my time and effort.
That makes sense. Absolutely. So the biologicals can be finicky, but these BT products like ours, they've made their they've made their money, or they've made their way through ag and, like I said, forestry and mosquito control, because they're sort of the shoot in between chemicals and straight biologicals. They work very much like chemicals. They're very hardy and easy to use like chemicals, but they're still a non-chemical with a lot safer or much better tox profile, a lot safer.
Well, John, we greatly appreciate your time and appreciate the support of the program. How can people find out more about the products?
Yeah, you could go to phyllombioproducts.com. That's PHYLLOM as in Mary, bioproducts.com. You can email me at my first and last name, John Libs, L-I-B as in boy, S as in Sam, the number 5 at phylom.com, or if you find the phone number on the website, 650-296-2574, and give me a call.
John, we thank you for your time and the information that you've shared with Holly, myself, and all of our listeners. We thank you for that very much.
Oh, you bet. You bet, Joey.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Holly.
Absolutely.
You too. Take care.
You too.